97underground.com, Baltimore's pure rock.
Hello, this is Michael Spedden, and thanks for joining us today on the 97underground.com Michael Spedden Interviews channel here on YouTube. There have been many requests from both listeners and guests for us to make available our artist interviews so they can listen again or share with others. You can find us on YouTube at 97underground Michael Spedden. Remember, the Back of the Rack, the Michael Spedden Show, can be heard on 97underground.com every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Not only do I feature artist interviews, I feature songs you forgot you liked, classics that never die, beloved local, regional, up-and-coming, and underground artists. You can listen anytime, anywhere by downloading our free app from 97underground.com. Just do it. And now, today's episode. Folks, thank you for joining us today on the Back of the Rack, the Michael Spedden Show here on 97underground.com, Baltimore's pure rock worldwide. Today's guest is Wade Helm. He's the drummer from Innersiege from Peoria, Illinois. They're a melodic metal band from the Midwest. They've been around since 2008, and they've released a couple of albums. 2012 brought us Kingdom of Shadows. In 2021, they released Fury of Ages, and they're both great albums, and we're going to spin a couple of songs on the show today, as you will hear. Enjoy the episode, folks, and we will see you all next time. And welcome back to the Back of the Rack, the Michael Spedden Show here on 97underground.com, Baltimore's pure rock worldwide. Tonight's guest is Wade Helm, the drummer from Innersiege. Welcome, Wade. It's good to have you tonight.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Michael. Thanks for having me.
Being part of the metal community, I interviewed White Cross. We had a great interview with them not too long ago, and we've been playing their music. They've got some really good songs on that album they've just released here.
Yeah.
And through my contacts with White Cross, I ended up meeting Wade and the boys in Innersiege. And I tell you what, we're going to spin some of their material in this show here. And you're going to hear some good stuff. We've gotten 2 songs from them, and I'm sure there's boatloads more, which we're going to be hearing later on as well, eventually in our repertoire here at 97underground.com. So welcome. It looks like you've been around since 2008. Tell us a bit about your band.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit of a history. So Kevin is one of the guitar players. He and I have been in bands off and on together since 1989. So we go back a ways. So don't guess how old we are. But
you're probably right along my age group.
I would say probably in the ballpark. Yeah. Hey, I grew up in the 80s, right? And listening to 80s metal. So, but yeah, Kevin and I have been together in bands off and on since 89. So around 2007 or 8, I think Jeremy joined us as our singer. I think it was 2007. And at the time we were a different band. So when Jeremy joined and everything, we thought, well, you know what? We're going to take the music kind of in a little bit different direction. Let's just start over and rebrand the band. And we had new members coming in. So we got Jeremy, and then our bass player, his name is Robin Furfjord. So there will be a quiz. He is from Norway. So outside of Oslo is where he's from. And he moved here in 2008. And joined the band shortly after. And then about 2010, I think, Jerry, our second guitar player, came in, and he was a friend of the band. We'd all known him for years. He used to come to our practices and just hang out. So he was sort of the natural guy to take the guitar position because he knew all the songs just from sitting through our practices. As the lineup as it stands now, it's probably been around 2010, but Innersiege as a band started around 2008. But yeah, same lineup, we're still together. So
it's great. That's really good. And you've been playing. You're from Peoria, Illinois. I'm guessing most of the clubs and things that you're doing are in that region, or do you go out on the road much?
Yeah, we travel. I mean, we'll travel to Chicago area. We played some places there like the Cobra Lounge and Reggie's and some different places, which Reggie's is kind of a well-known rock club there. So some of the listeners might know that one. We've traveled to, surrounding towns, maybe hour and a half away, 2 hours. But yeah, we kind of play our region here. A lot of it is Peoria, Pekin, surrounding communities, local bars and clubs. So
is it a fairly big scene out there for rock and metal?
You know what? This place has always been pretty big supporters of rock and metal. I just think, there's always been that joke about, the Midwest rocks hard or whatever, and kind of stuff. And it's kind of true because, I mean, even when metal sort of fell out of favor in the limelight, so to speak, I mean, it was still sort of, there were a lot of metal bands around here. There just always has been a pretty good scene for hard rock and metal. I'd say right now, in our vein, there aren't a ton of bands doing maybe that European influenced power metal or the American
Hmm.
style power metal. We still have a lot more of the maybe modern metal bands, or more aggressive metal bands with harsher vocals, things like that. But we still have a pretty good metal scene here, and we have at least a couple places locally that are receptive to that. Because a lot of places, they want you to come and do your 4 hour set of covers, and we don't
Right,
really do
right.
that. We play original music, so a lot of times we have to play with other bands because we don't have 4 hours of music. So
Hmm.
we'll kind of get friends of ours or other bands to partner with us, and we'll do gigs at local bars and things. And so it's cool because it's all original music that way.
Right, right. And you get your time to come out and warm the crowd up, play your originals, and then they kind of carry the rest of the night,
Sure.
which a lot of acts do that, and that's starting to become common around here. Here on the East Coast, the clubs are starting to be a lot more the pendulum is kind of swinging, so to say, and
Yeah.
I'm sure you've been playing, I think both of us have been playing since back in 19. You see how everybody, all the clubs, they want cover bands, they want
Right.
top 40 bands, they want dancing, and then it kind of swings away from that and they are supportive of the original acts,
Yeah.
which is kind of the way things are swinging here on the East Coast. And again, the ball's been back and forth a number of times, but I really think that how things have evolved, the heavy metal. I mean, it was getting tired in the late '80s. I think for a lot of people, I think grunge came in, and grunge I think was kind of the disappointment to where they were supposed to be the next big thing, but I just don't really see how that's stuck around, or that's
Yeah.
as memorable as the metal bands, because
Right.
we're having our festivals every summer, and I don't know how many of those guys are touring, but the metal shows are always packed. And
Well, you talk about the longevity of metal bands because, and I'm not saying that some of the 90s bands aren't still around, but
right,
I
right.
don't think there's as many of them around
Hmm.
as there are still the 80s bands. Because, I mean,
Right.
I just saw Saxon like 3 weeks ago,
Oh
who
yeah.
just put out a brand new album this year, which kicks all kinds of butt. I mean, those
Hmm.
guys are still going. Judas
Yep.
Priest is still going. Iron
Yeah.
Maiden's still going.
Hmm.
I mean, and that's just, of course, some of the big three,
Hmm.
in metal. But there's still tons of the lesser known bands still going. Fifth Angel just put out a new album a few months
Yeah.
back. That's a killer album.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I mean, you have these bands kind of having a resurgence and putting out new material. Maybe they were kind of off the radar for 15 years, but they're back. And so
Hmm.
I think those bands just kind of stand the test of time, which I'm not sure other genres of music do as much, you know?
I really think they do. And I'm seeing, like you had mentioned before, people are saying, and you hear this a lot too. Yeah, man, there's no good music out there anymore. Yes, there
Oh, there's a
is.
ton. There's a
There is a
ton.
ton of it out there. I play it
Yeah.
on my show. My show is called The Back of the Rack, where I kind of go to the back of the rack.
Yeah.
I'll pull out, the Uriah Heeps and the T-Rexes and the Slades and things like
Yeah.
that. But I'm also roughly on my show, I would say I'm roughly about 50% local and indie, as
Hmm.
well as doing interviews and that sort of thing. But, a lot of these bands from yesteryear are back and putting out great albums. Deep Purple's had some good stuff out recently. Uriah Heep,
Yeah.
as you mentioned before, Saxon,
Yeah. They were incredible live because I had seen Uriah Heep in 1983
hmm hmm
and hadn't seen them since. And so I just saw them, 3 weeks ago. So it's been 40 years since I saw those guys, and
Was it
they
with
were
Def
great.
Leppard?
Yeah, it was with Def Leppard in
Yeah,
83.
yeah, yeah. They came around here too. The
Yeah.
same arena that, if you ever saw Heavy Metal Parking Lot,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that was the
That
Capitol
arena.
Center down near DC. That was yeah, that was the arena where I saw them,
Oh, cool.
Saxon
Yep.
and no, not Saxon. I mean Uriah Heep
Def
and
Leppard,
Def
Uriah Heep.
Leppard,
Yeah.
and Crocus too was on the bill.
Okay. I saw Crocus a couple times around that time frame, but one time they were with Accept and one time they were with, might have been like Whitesnake or something. I saw them a couple times and within a 2 year span, maybe.
And Accept's got a nice album out now too.
Yeah. Just picked that one up a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that's a good one. And they're out touring with KK's Priest, which
Yeah.
they just came through here too. I'll tell you, lots of good stuff out there if you know where to look.
Well, exactly. And that's the thing. I think, these guys that were like pioneers of heavy metal to
Mhm.
me are still showing how it's done,
Right, right, right.
But now, I mean, they're not just like, yeah, you guys should give it up. You're past your prime. No, I mean, most of those
Mm-mm.
bands are putting out some of the best material of their career
They are.
and they're pushing, some of them are 70, 71, 72, or they're pushing that age. And it's like,
Hmm.
wow, you know?
You're right about that. You're absolutely right about that. So let's hear some Innersiege. You sent me a
Awesome.
couple of tunes here. Which one would you like to spin for us first?
Why don't we do Firewind? And if you want a little funny story about that one, so there's a band called Firewind,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, which we all love. We're all fans of. So our guitar player was telling our singer, "Hey, you should write a song like Firewind,"
Mm-hmm.
meaning like they did, where they wrote a song like which maybe got like their band title in it.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
Jeremy misunderstood and thought, "Oh, you want me to write a song called Firewind?" So he comes to practice all excited with this new song he wrote called Firewind, and we're like, "That's not our band name."
Right, right,
But it
right.
was a great song, so we kept it. And hey, it's an homage to Firewind because we love them. So
Mm-hmm. Well, here it is. This is Firewind by Innersiege. really like your sound. I think
Thank you.
when you guys first reached out to me and I was looking you up and everything, I was like, I like it. I like it. Very, very much that European prog melodic metal. That's really my favorite kind, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the thing. I think if you take all of our influences and throw them in a blender, that's kind of what came out, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm just a straight up 80s metal guy. I love Priest and Maiden and Saxon and what I
Me
call
too.
like denim and leather, fist in the air kind of metal. That's the stuff I
Oh,
love.
yeah.
Then of course, I've got our two guitar players in the band. They love Steve Vai and Ingve and all that
Oh,
kind of
sure.
stuff,
Yeah.
and Symphony
Mm-hmm.
X, Michael Romeo. And then our singers' two favorite bands are like Queensryche and Crimson Glory.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
the odd duck in this whole thing is our bass player, because he's from Norway and he played in a black metal band when he was in Norway. We're talking like full like corpse paint and fake blood and the whole shtick.
Right,
And then
right.
he comes over here and joins us. And at first we were like too light for him. He didn't really like our music. He's like, wasn't heavy enough for like the black metal background he had. But he's been with us now long enough that he's come to embrace and love all this stuff. I mean, he's always sending me like a picture. Look what I just bought. And he got the new Saxon on vinyl, or he got the new Judas Priest, or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
he's come to really appreciate like traditional classic metal and Halloween and things like that. So that's why I
Well,
say I think you throw all that into a blender and that's what comes out. So I think any band's influences probably show through in their music,
mm-hmm.
obviously. But
Well, from what I understand, if you're from Norway and you're playing in a band, it's the law.
yeah, right.
It's the law. I think a couple of those Scandinavian countries, their national anthems are actually that death metal.
Yeah.
So, but hey, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. And there is a lot of great bands that come out of that area too.
Oh, that's the thing. If you've ever seen like there's a map that shows like per capita for the size of those countries, how many metal bands there are.
Mhm.
It's like the map
Yeah.
is just all red because there's so many metal bands or whatever.
And they're all good too.
Yeah. I've never heard a
it's well
Swedish
done
band or
stuff.
something that went, they're all right. I mean, they're all very
Mhm.
talented guitar players and talented drummers and talented singers. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. Really is. It really. I got to make my way over there one of these days, and I'd like to go over there. You were talking a bit about your influences and everything here, and the list that you gave me here in your resume. Again, you were talking about the big four, the Iron Maidens, the Judas Priests, and everything. And one thing that I hear a lot of is that you heard this a lot too in the late 80s into the early 90s when Metallica started putting out like sad but true as compared to the Four Horsemen and the earlier stuff.
Sure.
Oh, they sold out. They're all well, I didn't like that. I didn't like it being called that because I really think that they just polished themselves. They were better songwriters. I mean, do you agree?
I still think the Black Album's a great album. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Sure, it was slow. I mean, compared to Metal Militia,
Right.
it was slow, but it
Mhm.
was slow and heavy. I mean, that groove in that
Right.
song and that riff, I mean, that's heavy,
Mm-hmm.
and still a great song. So yeah, I enjoyed the Black Album a lot. Load and Reload, not so much, but I did like the Black Album.
Sure. I mean, I have heard a couple of metal bands that were out where I think their record companies may have kind of forced the envelope on them a little bit in the 80s with adding some keyboards and
Right.
adding a couple of things to them. But they didn't. But I think a lot of it now, I mean, like you had mentioned before, some of these guys have never sounded better.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I always say this. If you had told like, 15-year-old me in 1984 or whatever that I'd still be listening to Saxon and Judas Priest, I'd still be listening to them, but that they'd be putting out new material.
Right.
I figured they'd be retired and done by now. So the
Yeah.
fact that, in the last year, I mean, I've seen all these bands, Saxon and Iron Maiden and Striper and Accept and,
Yeah.
bands I saw in high school, and they're still out there doing it and putting out killer material.
They sure are. They sure are. So speaking of killer material, why don't we hear some more Innersiege? How do you like the way I segued into that? Huh?
It was smooth as butter, man.
Absolutely. So this one, you gave us a song. You submitted a song called Stronghold to be played. Tell us about that a bit.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you've noticed from our lyrics, or listeners might want to check them out, but we try and write kind of about just things we see in the world, right? We're not a band trying to have a heavy message, but we're looking at what's going on in the world. But let's face it, every day there's enough stuff going on out there that you could write a plethora of songs, but we try and write it with a little bit of a different worldview, I guess you'd say, a positive slant. So this song is just, basically about trying to tear down strongholds, whether that stronghold is just something that's holding you back personally, or maybe an addiction you're fighting, or whatever it is, But with our brothers by our side and God on our side, we can tear those strongholds down. So that's kind of what the song's about.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, here it is, folks. This is Stronghold by Innersiege.
Our land. The sun, no, it's not shining. The songs and beautiful rhyming. It's almost too late. We must defend the throne when losing our sacred home. How many times? How many times must we see? Rise up and fight, wake from your sleep, with the fury of awakening. We have been given heaven. The path that before us, our brothers beside us, we prepare for war. We will tear all the strongholds down. The lonely ruins can be Lately we meet our foe with all their plans and schemes. They try to destroy everything. Time to say enough. Courage is all we need. We were all born to be free. Like our forefathers, we will have to sweat and bleed. Let us unite, make history. With the fury of awakening. We have been given heaven. The path that before us, our brothers beside us, we prepare for war. We will tear all the strongholds down. The lonely ruins can be found. The fury of awakening. We have been given heaven. Without God before us, our brothers beside us, we prepare for war. We will tear all the strongholds down. The lonely ruins can be found. All the strongholds come down. The lonely ruins can be found.
Well, it's really been great getting to meet you and hear some of your material, and I really think, I really think our listeners are going to like this once we get it into the rotation here on my show. Tell us where we can find out more about Innersiege, shows coming up, where we can buy your music. Plug away. Go for
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Well, the best place is probably if you want to start with our website, it's just innersiege.com, and siege is Siege, all one word, innersiege.com. On there's links to our Patreon, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. But I'd say Facebook's probably the best place to keep up to date what's going on. You know, like all web pages, it's hard to sort of keep up with that and keep it as up to date as maybe the instant social media. But Instagram, Facebook are going to be up to date, have shows on there, have announcements, have links. Our music is for sale, the usual suspects. I'm pretty sure it's still on Amazon. You can get it on there. I know that it's on Spotify if you want to listen to it and check it out. You can buy it directly from us from our website too. We've got CDs, vinyl, digital downloads from our website. CDs, posters, not posters necessarily, but yeah, we've got stickers, we've got patches, we've got all your usual suspects of merch, and yeah, working on some new merch as we speak too, trying to get some different items. So links to all that on the website. And in terms of shows coming up for us, and one we're really excited about is Immortal Fest, which is in its third year. It takes place in Versailles, Ohio, which is spelled just like Versailles in France, but it's pronounced Versailles. The BMI Event Center. And this is a 2-part festival. We're playing the first part late July, and Theocracy is going to be there, and Deliverance, and some other great bands. And then there's a second installment of it in August, but we're playing the first one in July. Really excited about that. I've attended the fest the last 2 years. It's a great fest. Cool venue, really cool venue. So we're looking forward to that. Then we've got some local shows. We're playing in a town called Bloomington, Illinois. So any listeners that might be listening from that area, we're going to be there at the Night Shop. I think it's like September 21st. It's a Saturday night in September, playing with a couple of bands that are friends of ours. So that should be a good show too. And yeah, whatever else comes down the pipeline.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for coming and joining us today. This is Wade Helm from Innersiege, folks. And you know where to find them. And all the links to their Facebook, social media, merch, and everything will be in the show notes. Stick around, folks. We've got more coming up here. You're listening to The Back of the Rack, the Michael Spedden Show here on 97underground.com, Baltimore's pure rock worldwide. Don't go anywhere. And thanks again for listening to 97 Underground, the Michael Spedden Interviews, and we hope you enjoyed today's show. Remember, download the free app from 97underground.com so you can listen to us wherever you go. The Back of the Rack, the Michael Spedden Show, can be heard on 97underground.com every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Listen anytime, anywhere.
Metal.
Worldwide metal 24/7. 97underground.com.